Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with another video. Sorry for the poor lighting, it's nighttime. We don't have good lights here and without sunlight it makes it a bit worse. But anyway, I just wanted to make a brief video because of something that I heard from, I think it was Clownfish TV, but I should make it clear that at present it's a rumor. So there was a video that Clownfish TV did, right? And they say on the video it's a rumor, but there's apparently this website called We've Got This Covered or something to that effect, saying that it's a rumor, but it's a possibility that the She-Hulk TV show or Disney in general might kill off Hulk to introduce She-Hulk, right? Now whether they would kill him off before she became She-Hulk, I don't know. If they do this at all, again, it's a rumor. Or whether it be a thing where, they have him alive in the beginning of the story to help her become She-Hulk, assuming they follow the comics example. For those who may not be aware, in the comics, Jennifer Walters, who is Bruce Banner's cousin, becomes She-Hulk when she is shot in a mob hit. Bruce happens to be visiting her at the time. He gives her an emergency blood transfusion, and that's how she becomes a Hulk and gets Hulk powers similar to his. Although her experience with the Hulk form is very different than his is, right? She tends to be in the original one in Savage She-Hulk. She was a bit more introspective, a little more of an anti-hero type, but she still kept her wits about her. She never lost her intelligence or anything. Whereas with Hulk, he's uncontrollable. He isn't really all that intelligent, right? Sort of like blind rage type of thing, right? Hulk smash, Hulk bash. Jen, even as Savage She-Hulk, was never that. And then, of course, there was John Byrne's run with the character in the mid '80s when she was on the Fantastic Four and had a few solo stories. But then, of course, there was sort of like her own original solo series back in like the late '80s, around '89, I think it was. And then going on to the mid '90s, he was on and off that project because he had issues with his editors. It's John Byrne. Anybody who knows anything about John Byrne knows that he's always having issues with the company he's working for at the time, or with his editors. So that's not surprising. But it was his take on the character, making her comedic, making her break the fourth wall, as sort of made her stand out amongst other comic book characters and comic book stories at the time, being this more humorous, lighthearted, action comedy type comic. And that was her general characterization. Sexy, flirty, fun. Not someone to mess with, but not exactly, a heavy, angsty type character like Hulk. Up until maybe about 5-6 years ago. Then they changed the character despite protests from fans, and she's become this literally just this version of the Incredible Hulk, Banner Hulk, but with the long hair and breast. And excuse me, fans like myself are not happy about this and haven't been happy about it at all for years. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because I guess I just have a question I want to ask or an idea that I want to explore, which is I don't understand why comics, modern day comics, think that they have to kill off the male character to sort of push or reinforce the female. Because when I heard about this possibility that they could be doing this, first thing I thought was, okay, it's not confirmed, but it wouldn't surprise me, especially since many rumors, for example, there were rumors abounding with what is it, The Rise of Skywalker, and how much of a mess it was. And in the end, the film came out and proved all those rumors true and all that stuff. So when I heard about this, I was like, okay, I'm not going to automatically believe it, but I wouldn't put it past them because it would not surprise me. But upon mulling on it a little bit more, I found myself thinking, well, this sounds very similar to what happened in 2016 when Marvel decided that to promote their female characters that were derivatives of male characters, for example, She-Hulk, another one is X-23, who of course is a derivative of Wolverine, they decided principally through the event of Civil War II, but they decided to kill off these well-known male characters, especially from the films, right? Iron Man. They killed off War Machine. They killed off they made Cap evil in Secret Empire, but that was a different story. But they killed off the Incredible Hulk. They killed off Iron Man. They killed off War Machine. They killed Wolverine in 2014. And let me see here. I don't think Hawkeye died, but I think he retired or he disappeared or something. I forget what happened with Clint Barton Hawkeye. But then you had also Thor became unworthy and lost his name. Right, but they pretty much took all these well-known male characters that people had known from the comics for years, and that people who were fans of the MCU and knew these characters through the films, right? And they decided, okay, we're gonna take all of our well-known male heroes, get rid of them, usually through killing them, and instead, we're going to introduce, for the most part, female characters. Now, there were a few males who were introduced, such as, say, Totally Awesome Hulk, who took over as the Incredible Hulk. For those who don't know, Totally Awesome Hulk is a Korean character known as Amadeus Cho. That's really all I know about him personally. But anyway, at that particular time, they killed off most of their well-known male characters and had their female counterparts, their female derivatives take over. For example, She-Hulk took over for the Hulk, not just in theme or role in a book or on a team as the heavy. No. I mean, literally, she had her own solo series comic out at the time. It was written by Mariko Tamaki, and it was called Hulk. It was branding confusion and branding hell, because every time She-Hulk previously had her own solo series, it was She-Hulk, to differentiate her from the Hulk. But because Hulk was dead because of the events of Civil War II, they just called it Hulk. They literally tried to just refer to her as the Hulk. Not that it worked, but they tried. So they did that with She-Hulk. They did it with X-23, having her take on the name of Wolverine. So they were releasing these they were calling it the all new, all different Wolverine, and instead of being Logan, it was X-23. Keep in mind, they literally took X-23's name away from her, which therefore, of course, takes her own agency, her own character arc, and her own story away from her, and they just turned her into Girl Logan. Not even like X-23 carrying on the mantle of Wolverine, but still having her own stories and her own life. No. Just Chick Wolverine. Literally, just a gender flip of Wolverine. All of her previous personality and characterization history gone. She got all of Wolverine's classic covers and his classic poses with the claws and all this stuff. It really was just bad. I mean, literally, she was just cosplaying as a better-known male character. And they did this with Thor. He became unworthy. They had Jane Foster take his title, his name, whatever the heck you want to call it. She took the hammer, all this stuff. And then they had, because Tony Stark and War Machine were both dead, they took the character Bendis's character Riri Williams, who in my opinion has always been just a very poor knockoff of Maxine Gibson from DC's Batman Beyond, but that's this story for another day. But they took her and they made her Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man title, and she was Iron Man. Eventually, they moved it so that she was Ironheart, and they brought on Eve Ewing. And even though I will never agree with the reasons why Eve Ewing was hired, I will admit that she did much better with the character than Bendis ever did, right? But they made all these changes, right? Clint Barton Hawkeye disappeared, or he went somewhere. I forget what happened to him. But then they had Kate Bishop take over as Hawkeye, and then when Clint came back, they had this battle for the name, and she kept saying she was the real Hawkeye, and all this other stuff. But anyway, the point in all this backstory, is that I don't understand what the point was in all that. And I read some of the comics. I was following a lot of comic reviewers at that time. And to this day, still, I don't understand what the point was in that. Why they felt they had to kill off all of these well-known, established male heroes that both men and women liked. Again, Wolverine is my favorite character. They killed off these male characters in my opinion, some sort of misguided attempt to like take the spotlight off of them. They try to put it on these female characters, but all it did, at least to me, was either make me not like that female character, as in the case of Kate Bishop, or it ruined the female character that I did like, for example, She-Hulk in X-23, and it didn't make me like dislike the male character. It just reminded me of like, you know what? Instead of reading this poor woman's version of a Wolverine story, let me just find an old Wolverine comic. You know what I mean? To read. And it's sad because all these characters, whatever issues I may have with them, even with Kate Bishop, they have potential to be good characters. There are good stories written about X-23. She-Hulk has been around for 40 years. But that's because they had artists and they had writers who took these characters and thought, okay, let me make this character a character. Let me give this character a name of their own, a life of their own. Stories that are separate from their sort of like original male counterpart, right? You don't have to, how do I put it? You don't have to erase the male or like remove the connection or the relationship to the male character. You don't have to do that. But you can still take these female characters who have, again, similar powers, are of a similar vein or theme because they are derivatives of male characters. You can still give them their own story, right? Their own name, their own life. And you don't have to kill off the more popular male to do it. Because at least in my experience, when they do that, it just makes me miss the male character even more. It makes me just more cognizant of how this particular female character should not be in this male character's clothing in many cases. For example, all new Wolverine, she literally took like his old outfits and then just made them to fit her. It's like that Batwoman line, right? The suit is literal perfection. It will be when it fits a woman. I'm like, no. The suit will be perfect when it fits the character. The suit will be perfect when the character is a character and has a freaking life and personality of their own, and they aren't just cosplaying as a better known hero of the opposite sex. Like, imagine if you took like a female character, let's say Phoenix, right? And you killed Phoenix again, but then you had a male character, like literally wearing her cat suit, right? You had a male character taking on her name, her powers, her role on the X-Men. I don't think that would be well received, or God forbid, right? You took like Storm and you killed Storm. Number one, everyone's gonna hate you if you do that. But number two, you have like a white South African guy, like let's say he's from like Johannesburg, and you literally dress him up in Rogue's uniform and you have him take her name and you have him say her lines and play her role. People would hate that because they don't want a male version of Storm. They want Storm. Now, if you want to make a male counterpart to Storm, you can do that. You can take a character who's from Africa. You can make him a male weather god or a male thunder god or whatever it is, and he can be her counterpart. That's fine. I don't think anything's wrong with that, but I don't think anybody wants a gender-bent Storm, just as nobody wanted a gender-bent X-23. Sorry, gender-bent Wolverine, which was played by X-23. So I just will never understand why they think that murdering the male is somehow going to enhance the female. I guess what they're thinking is that, well, if we kill Wolverine, there's only one other option for a person to take on the Wolverine mantle. which is X-23. Except in the end, that didn't work because about 2 years later, they pretty much resurrected all those male characters. Logan came back, Hawkeye came back. They resurrected Hulk. They resurrected War Machine. They resurrected Iron Man. Thor got his name back. Right, so all these male heroes that they tried to, not even tried, that they murdered or otherwise retired and got rid of, they eventually had to bring back out, in most cases in like 2 years later. Because in the end, those are the titles that make money. Those are the titles that men and the few women who read comics will read. And the saddest thing is that during that period where it was all girl everything, it's not like any of those female characters who now had their own solo series because the male character was gone were elevated. It's not like we got new or better. Well, we got new. To be fair, we got new, but it's not as like we got really good arcs or stories that like defined She-Hulk or defined X-23 or defined Kate Bishop. It's not like they got their own classic storylines like the Phoenix Saga or other. That's the only thing coming to mind at the moment, right? They didn't get their own classic story arcs the way characters like Wolverine or Daredevil and other characters have. They just got, in my opinion, crappy writing. I read a good chunk of Mariko Tamaki's She-Hulk. I hated it. It was basically Legend of Korra Season 4 done very, very, very poorly. I didn't mind the attempt at using PTSD and depression and sort of exploring that. I actually liked that element of it. Taking a resilient character and breaking them emotionally. I can understand that. She-Hulk nearly died in Civil War II. Bruce died. They're supposed to be very close, brother and sister, despite being cousins. So I understood all that. But the story she told was just so poor. There was no action. There was no resolution. There was no growth. There was no nothing. And I'm supposed to believe as a fan that this is A, better than a She-Hulk story that happened previously, or B, is better than a Hulk story? You tell a crap story with her, and then you want me to believe that she should be in the place and take the mantle and take the spotlight originally filled in by the Incredible Hulk? I don't think so. But anyhow, that's pretty much the video. I'm hoping that this rumor is not true, because I don't want the character of Bruce Banner killed just to make room for She-Hulk. You don't have to do that. They've coexisted in the comics for like 40 years at this point. You don't have to cancel out one to have the other. It's not an either or situation. This isn't Highlander. It isn't the whole there can be only one. You don't have that problem here. So I hope they don't do that. And I just don't understand why they do it. I don't understand why they do it. Why they think they have to kill off a male character instead of building up the female characters that they already have and making them great in their own right. Because that's what Marvel used to do. But the Marvel I knew and that I grew up with and the Marvel that exists today and existed 5-6 years ago are quite different. And well, this current Marvel can burn in hell for all I care. But anyway, that's the video. Let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Be happy, be healthy, be safe, stay inside, wash your hands, and I'll see you around. Bye.